Okay, well, welcome everyone. Today is the kickoff call for our eRequesting track at the HL7 Australia Connectathon on the 12th and 13th of December. I'd just like to start with a welcome to country. So HL7 Australia acknowledges and pays respect to the past, present and future traditional custodians and elders of Australia and the continuation of cultural, spiritual and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people. So I said today's all about the kickoff call for our Connectathon. My name's Michael Wilson. I'm one of the track leads. And just looking at the agenda for today, we're just going to do a quick introduction to track leads, describe the goals of what we're trying to achieve out of this Connectathon, talk through the timelines, talk through the IG, talk about system roles that you can bring to the Connectathon, as well as our testing scenarios. And then at the end, just like to do a little bit of a round the room just to see who's here, what they're interested in doing at the Connectathon, what you might be bringing, any comments or questions you might have. So we'll just do a little bit of a walk around at the end. So track leads, we've got Angus Miller from Sonic and Andy Bond from Magentis, as well as Steph and myself from CSIRO. So you can reach out to any of us before or during the Connectathon to answer any of the questions and help you out as we go. So the goals for this Connectathon. So one of the key things we want to achieve, we actually want to do some testing at this Connectathon. We want to test the current snapshot of the AU eRequesting Fire IG. So that's where we're up to today. We want to test what's there, get some feedback on the specification, what's working, what might not be working, whether there's any gaps and the like. So we want to test what we've done to date to make sure it's actually fit for purpose, as well as some more advanced topics for those that are in that space, to look at new features that we may want to bring into the IG as well. So by using different implementations to see if different participants can work together and decide about things that get a common understanding and idea of where we might want to go with those, to looking at bringing them into the IG in the future through the TDG. So what are we doing? Very similar to what the goals are here, but basically at the Connectathon, we want people to be implementing systems as one of the AU eRequesting actors to create and access pathology and imaging diagnostic requests, primarily testing the current snapshot of the AU eRequesting Fire IG and testing concepts and features for new things to bring in. So some key links. The key link, the one link, if you need any link at all, is the track page. Everything we're going through today in this presentation is on the track page. All the other links are on the track page. This presentation is on the track page. The recording will be on the track page. So that's the one link to rule them all. So if you need one link, that's it there. And I'll just show you, jump over to the track page, find it here. So we'll also put this in the chat for everyone here if none of those other mechanisms work for you. So this track page has all the details here. Like I said, it's got all the links. It's got everything we're going through today. It's got a copy of the presentation. It's got the agenda. It's got information about the specification and the roles, connection details, testing resources, the testing scenarios and the like. So everything you need will be on this track page. We'll continue to update this page leading up to the event. So you will see new things come in. So just keep an eye on this page. And this is what we'll be using on the day to share information about what we need and what we're doing. So jumping back to the presentation. So that's about the track page. The other link that is important is our Zulip stream. So this is where if you've got any questions before the event, during the event, want to share information, that's probably the best place to do it. All of the track leads are on Zulip. A lot of the community's on Zulip, so that we can use this for talking about all things related to this track at the Connectathon. Created a specific topic for this Connectathon I'll show you that one as well. On the right window. So you'll see in Zulip, we have this AU eRequesting track for the Melbourne Connectathon. I've put a link in there to the track page. There's a link to this meeting as well. But we'll use this to update you prior to the event if we're making any changes to the track page or any other information that you'd want to know before the Connectathon. And we'll also use it during the Connectathon. So if you want to share information or put questions and comments and the like, this is the best place to do it because we can all access it and share the information between us. There's a link to that also on the track page. So like I said, if you get to the track page, you can get to all of these links. To the agenda, I suppose first of all, where is it? It's in Melbourne Connect, which is 700 Swanston Street in Melbourne. And for the first day, I believe we're going to be in our own room. So we'll, in theory, just have eRequesting there. Exact room layout may change, but I think at this stage, we're going to have our own room for day one. But there'll be a common beginning acknowledgement, country and welcome, which Kate will do. Then I'll go through an overview of what we're doing and the test scenarios we're going to go on the day. And then the rest of the day is all about eRequesting testing scenarios. So the last Connectathon, we spent a lot of time talking about different features and things. This time we want to get our hands dirty and actually do connecting and testing of the specifications. So we don't have any specific breakouts. I think if we want to have some conversations on the day and the like, we'll have a whiteboard and we can go to a corner of the room and we can have conversations about different things, but there's no dedicated breakouts. We want to sort of be on the tools, trying to test this thing out and connect to each other. Leading into day two, I believe on day two, everyone at the Connectathon is going to be in the same room. So that'll be a combination of rooms 1, 2, and 3. So that'll be also with the AU Core and the Smart on Fire track as well. So we'll be all in the room together. There'll just be an acknowledgement, country and welcome at the beginning of the day. Then there's an inter-systems presentation, and then we're back into eRequesting testing scenarios for the rest of the day. Then at the end of the day, after afternoon tea, we're going to do a report out. So this is about summarizing what we've achieved during the Connectathon. And this is the opportunity too for people to show what they did. Get to show off what you're able to do Connectathon, what you're able to achieve, what's the things we tested, what sort of things we found. So this is a good opportunity for everyone who's come along to sort of present what they did, what they managed to get out of the Connectathon. And then we'll just have a survey and wrap up at the end, closing about 4 o'clock on day two. Looks like I got a duplicate there. That's the wrong one. So the participation checklist. What do you need to do before you come? Connect with your track leads. Well, you're doing that now by coming to this meeting. But also, if you want to reach out in Zulip or send us an email, like if you've got any questions about what to do or what you need to bring. Another important one here is actually complete the pre-Connectathon survey. So that would have been sent out by HL7 AU, but it is quite important if you can do that. I'll just show you that quickly. Because it gives us an indication of who's coming, what the area of interest is. It gives you an opportunity to provide any feedback or comments about what you'd like to see or what you'd like done differently from the last one. It's also the opportunity if you've got any food allergies or the like to be able to put in there about that. So we make sure the catering's right. So definitely complete that survey prior to the event. It is actually valuable for us. So the more people that can do this, the better. Sign up for chat.fire.org. So you can use the Zulip and you can use the chat features there. Also sign up for a HL7 account. They're free accounts. Anyone can create one. You don't have to be a HL7 member. If you sign up for the HL7 account, then we can create JIRA issues. So anything we find along the way in the Connectathon, things we want to add, things we want to change in the spec, we'll raise JIRA issues for them. So, and it's best that the person that identified the issue actually raises that issue. So you can be part of the feedback loop as that issue gets triaged and processed and fed back to you. So it's important that you do have a HL7 account so that you can actually raise those Jira issues and track them. And then as well, get familiar with the AU eRequesting Fire IG. So we've obviously been working on those through each of the TDG meetings. There's been a ballot for comment we're going through, and a whole heap of changes have been coming in through that ballot for comment. So it's best you go have a look at that again if you haven't been there for a while, to get an understanding of where we're at with it and what you'll be testing on the day. And then lastly, prepare your technical environment. So I might just have a slide. The next slide can talk a little bit about that. So in preparation for the Connectathon, it's just the prerequisites are that you have an understanding of fire. We are going to be doing technical connectivity and the like, so you will need an understanding of fire. But if you've been coming to the TDG meetings, you will have that. So then the basic familiarity with the AU eRequesting Fire AG. Again, that's what we're testing, so you need to know how that holds together. And then because this is a connectathon and we are going to be doing connecting, it is important you bring a computer. I think we've had people in the past who haven't. So, and on the computer, some form of development environment, whether that's Postman or some other development environment that you have, doesn't matter what it is, just some form of environment that you have to be able to test and connect with others with. So yeah, functioning development environment, so you can implement one of those roles. And that could be as simple as Postman, but it can be a fully fledged development environment depending on what you're doing and what you want to showcase. You can bring your own software as well that you've already built. So the AU eRequesting Fire IG, these are the links to that. Again, it's on the track page, but I will jump over to that. Zoom in a little bit for you all. So you'll see here, we've currently got a continuous integration build of this. This is the 020 continuous integration build. This build is still being updated from our ballot for comment resolutions. So we've gone through the last 2 months worth of TDG meetings, and we've been making decisions on things to go into the IG. So these are continuing to come in. They haven't all been implemented yet, but what we're looking to do is at the end of next week, so the 6th of November, looking at taking a snapshot of this IG at that point in time, which won't have all of them, but it will have most of the changes that we've agreed on through the ballot for comment process. And that snapshot is what we will use for testing at the Connectathon. So you can have a look at this now. You can see where we're up to. If you're looking under the fire artifacts and profiles, you'll see we've got diagnostic imaging requests and pathology requests and task, a number of other things in here. So this is still in a little bit of flux up until the end of next week, but end of next week, we will lock down a snapshot, take that snapshot, and we'll be using that at the Connectathon. So once that's available I'll post that on Zoom, so you'll be able to know that that snapshot is available and ready to go. So what's in the IG or expected to be in the IG by the time the Connectathon comes around? The ones in blue in this diagram, these are the eRequesting profiles, are the ones that we've been working on today and we'll have available for the Connectathon. So at the top here, we've got our abstract profile, which is the AU eRequesting diagnostic request. Then we have our imaging request profile and pathology request profile. We also have our AU eRequesting task. And hopefully we'll have in for the Connectathon one we voted on recently, which was adding the AU eRequesting diagnostic request coverage profile as well. All the ones in green, they're ones that are referenced from one or more of our eRequesting profiles, which are AU core profiles. So this gives you a bit of a a lay of the land of how the IG is structured. And our focus is on these blue ones and referencing out to the AU core profiles as well. As far as task goes as well, this is um, the fire task state machine that we have. You'll notice there's two that I've sort of blocked out, draft and ready. There's two as part of the TDG we agreed didn't make sense for eRequesting. So we have a value set which has all of the other states for task. And this is something we can test as well as part of the Connectathon is creating a task, changing its state, moving it through the workflow, and just having a play with that as well. I might just pause there for a moment and if anyone's got any questions at this point in time, happy to answer them, or we can wait to the end if we like. But raise your hand if you've got any questions, otherwise I'll keep going. No, we're all good for now. Great. The system roles. What roles are we looking at testing at this Connectathon? So this is where you can come to Connectathon and test out being any or all of these roles, depending on where your interest lies, what software you're interested in developing. You can look at using test scenarios around any one or more of these roles. So we have the placer, which is the system that's responsible for creating diagnostic requests. We have the filler, which is a system that's responsible for finding and retrieving diagnostic request fulfillments so that service providers can fulfill them. We have the patient client, which is a system that allows patients, their representatives, to view diagnostic requests. And the eRequesting server, which is a system that accepts diagnostic service requests and makes them available, makes them accessible. So the interactions we're looking at here, these are the sorts of things we'll be testing, is we've got the eRequesting server there sitting in the middle. We have a placer on the left, and that placer can create, update, search service requests, it can create a task, search for tasks. We have a filler. The filler can search for service requests, search for tasks, and update tasks. So that would be updating those tasks to move them through the different states of fulfillment. And then we've got the patient client, which is searching for service requests or tasks to see where they're at. So some of the test scenarios we'll be looking at here. So from the placer actor, it's about creating the different types of service requests, whether it's a pathology one or an imaging one, using the RCPA and RANSCAR value sets, and looking up the codes for the different types of tests, creating a task to go with that, whether it's assigned or unassigned task, searching for tasks based on the identifier. So this is looking at some of the search parameters and the like that we've put into the IG, testing out those. And looking at a filler actor, same sorts of things, except on the other side, being able to read service requests, search for them by ID, search for them by status or patient, and the like, and also updating the task status as well. And the patient access, the patient actor, this is searching for service requests by ID or a requisition, which would be the unique ID assigned to a service request, and searching by their patient identifier and status to go give me all tasks that are in a particular state for me. So there's sort of some of the scenarios. Obviously, you can create your own scenarios. These are some that we'll use as a guide, but it's entirely up to you what types of scenarios you want to run through. We'll just have some guides on these scenarios. I think I do have another one here, which is about the server actor. So the server sits in the middle. So these are just some generic test scenarios for the server that doesn't really focus on it being a placer or a filler or a patient, just testing out some of the different types of searches that you might want to run against the server to test it out. So this is the part about the advanced scenarios. So depending on where you are in your journey with e-requesting, you might be just looking at those basic scenarios, testing the current IG as it is. If you're further down the path of developing e-requesting solutions, what we'd like to do is try and test some of those scenarios and get connectivity between different people implementing different types of systems and look at some of the features that we know we're going to need to bring in to e-requesting. So things like task groups, service request groups, consent withdrawal from My Health Record, urgent communication requests, supporting information fasting, precondition, cervical screening, any of these sorts of things that we don't actually have in the Fire IG at the moment, but we know the sorts of things we're going to bring in. So we're going to try and put some sort of draft concepts around this into a test server where people can test and play with it. If you've got your own system, it would be that does any of these things or more. It'll be great if you can bring it along. And then we can start working through as a group about some of these concepts and trying to work out what we want to do to bring these into our eRequest and Fire IG. So they're the two halves of the things that we want to do in this Connectathon. One is test what we've already done, but the other half is look to the future and work out, well, how are we going to solve some of these problems? What sort of things do we want to do to bring into the Fire IG? Some of the things we'll have in place to support the Connectathon, we're going to have a Sparked AU e-requesting server. So there's the URL that we'll have for there. These links all on the track page as well. So, but on that Fire server, it's going to be loaded with the AU e-requesting, the current or the Connectathon snapshot of the AU e-requesting Fire IG. It'll also be loaded with AU Core. It'll also be loaded with AU Base. And we're going to load it with test data. So we're going to have a system there available with all those IGs in it and AU Core test data loaded into it as well. We're also going to have a terminology server. So it will be configured with a remote terminology server. It will be connected to our TXDev terminology server. And it will have a read endpoint that you won't need any authentication to connect to. It's fully open. Anyone can connect to and use it. We'll also be allowing create and update at the Connectathon. You will require authorization for that. We'll make that information available on the day so that you'll be able to create service requests, update service requests and the like. So we will have a read-write version of this, but prior to the day, it'll be read-only and loaded with the data. I'll also put on Zulip once this has been refreshed with the snapshot that we've got for e-requesting for the Connectathon, as well as the builds, the latest builds for AU Core and AU Base. So like I said, we're aiming for those builds to be done at the end of next week. And hopefully not long after that, we'll then be able to load them into the Fire server. So they're all there and ready for everyone to use. So we'll also have the Sparked terminology server. So this will be tx.dev. You can use this directly rather than through the Fire server. So that'll support validate code and expand operations. So it'll be loaded with the Randscale radiology referral set, the SNOMED CT imaging, RCPA, SPEAR, value set, and SNOMED CT pathology, as well as a whole heap of other stuff, but they're the primary ones we'll be interested in using. So you can use those and interact with the terminology server as well as part of the Connectathon. And then we also have the HL7 AU test data repository. So this is on GitHub and it provides synthetic, realistic data conforming to the HL7 AU Fire IGs. So we don't have any specific e-requesting test data in there, but there is lots of AU Core. So there's patients, organizations, practitioners, all those sorts of things that you can use for testing. that will be loaded into our Spark Fire server, but you're free to use this to load into your own systems and use for your own testing as well. It's available on GitHub. It's got the Fire JSON files, it's got Postman scripts and the like. So it is there for the community to use, and you can use it however you need to in testing your own systems. Well, that finishes the walkthrough of the basic what we're doing on the day. What I'd like to do is just go around the room a little bit and see who's here and what they're bringing and what they'd like out of it. And I'm going to throw Angus under the bus first because I know he wants to bring some stuff and talk to that if he can.
Get off mute. Can you hear me? Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I just put some details of a server on the page. Yeah, so there's I've got my own private server running as well, and then I'll have all Sonic's implementation of getting orders out of that server running against it, and I should have the claim operation working, so you'd be able to like claim an order from one Sonic lab to another. So you could put an order into like Sullivan Nicolaides, and then pretend that you're a patient rolling up for Douglas Hanning Moyer and scanning the barcode, which really you're just calling the claim API, and it would shift that order from one lab to the other. I'm still going to work through how that works exactly, but it's kind of running. But there's no profile validation. So, and that's primarily because this is all operating on the Magenta Sonic implementation. If Andy gives me his grace, I can probably point you to their implementation guide, which is very similar, but maybe slightly ahead of Sparked stuff. So I have that running, but it is a bit of a distraction because it is not the Sparked, conformant profile. So I'd say if you're new, you should be focusing on the Sparked server and the profiles if you're really just trying to work out how to create a service request. But if you're sort of advanced and have sort of a working solution and you want to start thinking about how would that work with Sonic's Magenta stuff, then you could probably start playing with mine as a sort of play area. But as I said, there's no profile validation on it. So really you could put just any old junk in that server, and it's only looking for group tasks, and in the path system finds one, it's going to try and process it, and error if it can't process it. So yeah, I guess that's what I'll have.
Yeah, I think that's good because I think that's the bit we're talking about, the two halves of this Connectathon. One is focusing on what we've done to date and making sure that that's fit for purpose and works, but then looking to the future is looking at other implementations that people have and brought along and working out, well, what features are there? What would we like to bring from those into the Sparked Fire IG? So that gives those that are at that advanced level to look to the future and working out what we would like to bring in into the IG. Does anyone else have anything they want to talk about, what they're bringing along or what they'd like out of the Connectathon? Jandon, you have a...
If it's sort of open slather, I'll
Yeah.
jump up next. It's David Hay.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, David Hay. I'm based in New Zealand, but I'll be coming across to the event. So I'm really looking at using the STC questionnaire resource to generate forms, which can in turn, using the STC extract operation, and Brian Postlethwaite will be involved in that as well, so that we can produce the placer bundles and put those into the Fire server. So I guess our focus and what we'd like to get out of it is to see if we can use that questionnaire resource and the things around it to create the valid requests. I'll probably create a small patient role as well, just to go and view stuff which is there. but it'll definitely be the STC questionnaire stuff, which is our primary focus.
Great. Heath?
Just a question to you, David. You'll provide the extract and questionnaire capabilities. You'll only be using the eRequesting server for uploading data to it, or you won't even be using the eRequesting server for that?
Well, depending on what's available on the day and the work, Brian and I have been working quite closely on this in the past few weeks, just in general terms of STC. But you're probably aware that Brian's got a what he calls a firepath lab, and that firepath lab in turn can implement the extract operation. So we can take I've got a tool that builds the questionnaires. It's a model-based tool. Those questionnaires can then go to Brian's lab, where either the CSIRO or the LHC form can render it. And then using Brian's lab, we can then run the extract to produce the external bundles. And that bundle should then be the request. And so we'll probably have to do that manually, but then that bundle will be what we submit to the FHIR server. Well, that's the current plan anyway.
Yeah. So there's just no support on the eRequesting server for questionnaires or extract or anything like that. So just be aware. That's why I asked the question.
Right. Thanks for that. No, we'd use it if it was there, but it's not necessary.
Cool.
Great. Thanks, David. Sounds interesting. Has anyone else got anything they want to share or they'd like to bring along or talk to?
I can go next.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, so I will bring be the EMR, and it will be fulfill the role of placer. So it is possible to create a request for a lab, and then this information is extracted to server, to Sparked reference server as a order, and then some figure could pick up. Basically, this scenario we tested on the previous Connectathon, and yeah, just going to make sure that all my software works with the most up-to-date specification. And under the hood, this mechanism also uses SDC as forms and uses extraction to create bundles for both local file server of the EMR and to put all the data to the Spark reference server.
Great. Thanks, Elliot.
So can I just ask one question? Will the Spark server, will it support the transaction operation so that we can just submit a bundle of resources?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's just a small CDR. So we just have a limited set of resource types that we support.
Thanks.
I'll go next.
Yeah.
I'll have a client that can generate pathology requests and to simulate a pathology lab, running those requests through fulfillment. In theory, I have the same thing for radiology that will generate radiology requests and run radiology through fulfillment, including booking and image analysis and whatever.
Excellent. Anyone else want to volunteer? No, that's fine.
Jenny here.
Yeah, Jenny?
Yeah, I suppose I'm going to be more of an observer. Just want to see it in action, so I might be tagging on to other people.
Yeah, that's fine too.
And I'm asking permission to do that. Yeah.
Yep, I think that's fine. I think it's to see what sorts of things people are working on and how they're doing it. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I guess
Okay.
I've also got a Postman bundle, which is an eRequesting transaction. And I guess I just highlight because people trying to do that, it's one bundle which has like the request, it uses like if none exist on certain resources, like, you know, the places organization you don't really want to put it in every time you put an order in. So I can share that Postman or even just that transaction JSON, because it's quite good, because and in Postman it uses like a variable for the barcode, so you can really just go bang 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 bang, and each one will be a new barcode going in. But the fact that it uses the if none exist on some of its posts is quite neat, because those resources which you don't need to put in every time, like the places organization resource, it just if it's not there, it'll put it there, but if it is there, it won't put it there. So every time you run it, so I've found it useful for me, because it means you can just go bang bang bang, keep putting orders in every time you post, and each order is unique.
Hey. Was it a rogue hand?
You might not realize he has his hand up.
Maybe maybe Heath was going to say you could use conditional updates.
No, I was going to ask if you want to contribute that to the HL7 AU test data repo. Think about it.
Issue.
Angus, I might reach out to you if that's okay.
Well, I'm thinking I might work out how to extract it out of Postman, and I probably just make it put it on
Just
the
an
page.
export would be perfect.
Yeah. I think I'll just jump to the track page as well. So on the track page, we've got the section down the bottom here is about track participants and testing tools. So Angus has updated it, so I'll refresh this. Did you add down the bottom here?
Just that
Sonic
last
Healthcare
bit,
Requesting
yeah.
Server. So anyone who's coming along to the Connectathon, if you bring something that you want to make available to others to use, add it to this page. So everyone can contribute to this page. So if you've got something you want to bring along, you can put it on this page under track participants and testing tools, add what you've got. So then everyone can see this. We'll use this page on the day to say, hey, if you want to connect to the Sonic one, here's the endpoint and the details about connecting to it. So definitely contribute to this page. If you've got anything like Postman collections and the like you want to share, just add them to this page, and then they'll be great resources for us to use at the Connectathon. So definitely contribute.
We should also look to take any good examples and move them into the IG as well, because the IG does need examples in there as well. And that should be, for most people, the first point of call when they want to see an example of how to do something. Heath, I think I already know the answer to this, but we are operating off a separate server, right? So we shouldn't have you're not doing partitions on the server we're using.
Well, there are petitions, but you can just use the default petition.
No, I'm just thinking, just people be aware that just the nature of Smile CDR, you can't arbitrarily create a ID within a petition in Smile CDR and not be guaranteed that it's not clashing with another partition.
Yeah, we don't plan to use petitions. We plan to use the default one. So I think they're available to us, but yeah, we'll just look for use the default. Okay.
Just going back to Angus's Postman, I think your suggestion of putting it up on the wiki page is probably the right place for now. There probably is some thought required for it to be contributed to the HL7 AU test data repo around things like IHIs and HPIOs and stuff like that. We don't want them to be real ones or ones that haven't been assigned by Services Australia. So I think there's a process that we need before it can actually be contributed.
Agree, and it's also that step ahead, because it's got like coverage, communication request resources. In it's that magenta flavored one.
Yeah.
But the concept of it, I think, is there's good things for people to steal, like out of it, even if you don't use it verbatim.
Yeah, and you will see here there is another Postman collection here, which is around terminology server. So we have uploaded that. So which just has a whole lot of examples about how to interact with a terminology server, if you want to look to those as well. And yeah, like we said, anyone can contribute to this, add what you've got. It'll make it easier and richer for us all at the Connectathon.
I'll just go very quickly because I'm not actually going to probably be involved at all, but what is there from a Spark perspective is a Postman collection. It's pretty rudimentary. It's just around, I think it's just around basically a service request and associate participants. But again, that could be looked at as being enhanced as part of the Connectathon, perhaps. And I will talk to Steph maybe around working out a way to do that, perhaps with Steve assistance or something like that.
Heath, is that in the test data repo, or is it?
Yes,
separate?
it is.
It is. Okay. Yep. So, yep. I actually didn't. I forgot that there was some service request stuff in there. So yes, that Postman collection is in the test data repo. So we'll have a look at that. Thanks, Heath.
Yep. Early next week, I'm going to create some tasks, so we can touch base about that.
Okay. Anyone else want to have a chat? I might just move on then. If you are new to a Connectathon and Fire, there's a great resource here. Oh, just jumped too far ahead. Okay, I can't copy the link. But there's a newcomer orientation here from HL7. Like I said, these slides and links all on the track page. But there's a good video there to watch if this is your first sort of time getting into this stuff. So it's definitely worth having a look at that. But other than that, we're pretty much done for the track kickoff. So if anyone's got any questions, you can raise them now. Happy to answer questions that you may have now. We've got the link there to the track page, but definitely any questions you have along the way, reach out on Zulip. We'll be posting information on Zulip as we have more information available about testing scenarios and snapshots and the like being available and the server being updated. But yeah, absolutely feel free to reach out to us through that chat, and we can answer any questions. Does anyone got any questions for now that they want to bring up before we close the meeting? No? Well, great. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Hopefully it'll be a great Connectathon. We'll do some real connecting. So looking forward to it and looking forward to seeing everyone there. And thanks for coming for today.
See you in Australia.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Michael.
Bye.